Hi everybody, it's Josh with Talk About Trek. Or to my Klingon friends out there, Nuden Hook Joshuk Davis Trek. Welcome to Warp Tuesday, that one and only day of the week where you guys come in and join me as we talk about whatever Star Trek related news or whatever I feel like talking about. And this week, since I did look around and I saw, there wasn't a whole bunch of very exciting Star Trek news to go over this week, and if we save some for next week, then that just gives us more to talk about then. So I figured this week would be a good week to focus on, as you can guess, Klingons. Now, we're not just going to spend a whole show talking about Klingons. We are going to address a very particular topic, which is going to be book trek. So now you're like, what are you even talking about, Josh? Well, here's what I'm talking about. Basically, every summer there's a thing that goes around YouTube where people are encouraged to read Star Trek books and then, put hashtag book trek or whatever in their video. Now, I, of course, read Star Trek books all the time. And, so book trek really isn't kind of like a thing for me. I'm book trekking all the time. But now, since this is book trek officially, I figured I'm going to jump on board, but we'll do it with a Klingon flair. And I will say, this did come up. And it's always the best when these kind of things come to me, just not on purpose. They come as a result of what I'm reading and maybe something I glance over at, maybe just something catches my eye, and that's how I decide kind of what's going on. And that's how we decided how we were going to get down this path. So let me explain. First off, you may have noticed that my Star Trek book reading has kind of fallen off as of late, and that is because I'm reading another book series, which will not be named currently, and we're going to wait until we kind of get through all of that. But we have started a Star Trek book here for Book Trek, which was the next in our TNG numbered list, Diplomatic Implausibility. Now, whenever I read that title, I think of that guy from the Lethal Weapon movie. If you guys know. If you know, then you know, right? But he has diplomatic immunity. That does not end well for him. Anyway, I'm reading this book, Diplomatic Implausibility. Almost halfway through. This is by Keith R.A. DeCandido. A very fun book set after Insurrection, before Nemesis, after Deep Space Nine is all over. Worf is the ambassador to the Klingon Empire, and so far so good. And as I got into reading this, I'm like, this is very enjoyable. I'm liking this Klingon ship. I'm especially liking how the author chose to be like, do you remember this guy? Particularly like that guy? You remember that guy? He's in the book. Do you remember? No, that's Alexander. But it's kind of like a who's who of the fun Klingons that you remember from your TNG days, right? You've got Clag, you got Tuck, you got Rodek, you've got what is that? The scientist lady's name? She's awesome. Cole. Klingon names. There's so many, and there's so many that start with K. Rodek and Vol, and anyway, a whole list and a cast of characters. So, I'm getting into this book and I'm thinking, well, what am I going to read next? And then I look, I'm like, well, I'm enjoying this Klingon. I'm enjoying this new ship and these cast of characters. And then I look up and I'm like, I kind of put this whole little Klingon section together up there. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And that's where we are going to be going. So first off, there is a whole kind of series written by Keith R.A. DeCandido, and that is, as you can see here, and I kind of want to say, I bet it starts with this one, right? And I don't know if I'm right or not, and I'm not going to look it up and see. There's that scientist lady right there. But it just seems like this is probably the way things are supposed to go, right? So I'll finish this one, and then we can jump right into these IKS Gorkon books. And we've got a series of 3 A Good Day to Die. We've got Honor Bound. And we've got Enemy Territory. And I don't know anything about them. I've never looked into them or read anything on them. Oh, and also, sorry, A Burning House, which is Klingon Empire, something different from IKS Gorkon. But again, I don't want to look into it because that's how you get spoiled. Blana Torres, awesome Klingon. So we're just going to leave it at that. That's where we are going to go. Now, also up on that shelf, which would be fun, I thought, to kind of get into as we talk today, and then just to keep handy as we reference throughout the month here, would be some of these Klingon reference materials here. Now, the originator of the Klingon language, of course, is Mr. Mark Okrand, right? And we do have the Klingon dictionary. We've got like a little one and we've got a big one, you know, because if you're traveling, right, you need to have this one. You keep it in your pocket. You run into some Klingons out there. You're able to quickly, jump out with a phrase such as "Pu pu cha, como pu eh." The prisoners are children. You know, it could come in handy. Or, let me see if we can find another fun one here. Oh, what is this? Here we go. Jesopta es konta. I am eating, and she is sleeping. Man, I really would, and I've talked about this before too, it would be fun to learn how to speak Klingon, you know. There is a group, actually, not too far. I think they're based out of Toledo, which isn't far from me. Toledo, Ohio. And they are the Klingon Assault Group. And they go to cons dressed up as Klingons. They promote Klingon culture. And they raise money for their local humane society. Right? I mean, you can't do anything better than that, right? Sounds pretty awesome. But anyway, we have some Klingon dictionaries so that we can definitely, stay abreast of our Klingon language this month. But then there's more, all right? Say you need to learn about being a Klingon warrior, right? You need to be a Klingon warrior. Check this out. The Klingon Way by Mark Okrand. And again, this is something I've not looked into yet, but it looks as if here we have kind of a collection of Klingon wisdom. Like, if it's in your way, knock it down. Dubo te hu. Though split into two individuals, one fully Klingon, one fully human, by a Vidian scientist, the human Belana Torres still retained her Klingon knowledge, if not her Klingon impulses. She cited the adage, again illustrating the Klingon penchant for taking control, and when she commented on the behavior of her Klingon self. From Voyager, Faces. So here you have basically, references from episodes, and they kind of go in and talk about that a little bit more. And of course, it's in English and in Klingon. That way, you have the full and correct translation of it here. So we've got that, the Klingon Way. Of course, Star Trek Klingon for the Galactic Traveler, also by Mark Okrand. And again, I don't even know what we're looking at here, but basically I think a travel guide just to kind of teach you, as you traveling throughout the Empire, these are important things that you're going to need to know, wars, battles, and warriors. You're going to need to know about Kurdogs, Zergs, Pongs, Yaks, and Hangs. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on here. And it's amazing. You can learn it all here in Star Trek Klingon for the Galactic Traveler. And then finally, if we want to kind of, just visit a little bit more, something a little bit more, I guess, literary, we could get into the Klingon Hamlet, which we have here. And again, you haven't heard Shakespeare until you've heard him in the original Klingon. And I don't know if we have any lines here that we could read. So here in the English version, of course, Hamlet says, Horatio, thou art e'en just as a man. As there my conversation coped with all. But in Klingon, you're much more powerful. Horeso, so kufla. Jiz atal hame, hok gut, videl pok woof, ku puss. But anyway, again, Klingon Hamlet. So, where am I going with this? Basically, we're going to Kronos, right? We're taking a deep dive into the Klingon book world here this June. Well, let's say June, July, right? I'm not going to promise that I'm going to be able to read through all of these wonderful books here within the next, 4 weeks. So we might push that into July a little bit. But I think, again, it will be fun to take just kind of a deep dive through this series of books, sticking with the same author for a little bit too. I think will be good, because we'll be, again, I'm doing that as well with another series, and it is kind of fun to stay with the same author, the same characters, and kind of just live in that world for a little bit, which is what we will do, right? So, so that is our book trek. We're going to be trekking through some Klingon stuff, and again, this one has been great, and as you can see, this is the 61st Star Trek TNG numbered novel, and there are only, I'm looking now just to be sure, there's only 63. So once we finish this, and we finish our little kind of trek into the Klingon world, we will be going then, I think we kind of have to, since we're like right at the end, to finish up reading 62 and 63, which is a 2-part series called Maximum Warp by Dave Galanter and Greg Brodenar. I can't read it from there, but I think I'm saying it right. But anyway, those are the final TNG numbered novels, which will be kind of an interesting time for the channel, because when I first started doing this, however many years ago it was, that was like the whole idea. I was going to read and talk about every Star Trek TNG numbered novel, and I'll have done that. Of course, between now and then, I've done lots of things other than that, and talked about multiple Star Trek things and all sorts of things here on the channel. And you're probably wondering, too, why am I wearing the Macho Man shirt, right? Why am I wearing I typically will go and pick out a Star Trek shirt, and I was going to grab one. I had a purple one in mind. It was the Batleths and Binox one, right? Very cool Lower Decks one. And then I saw the Macho Man, and I'm like, you know what? The Macho Man as a Klingon would be very funny. And then that thought kind of made me laugh. And and that's the kind of thing I think would be fun to see someone generate with AI. So, that would be pretty good for. I think that would get a laugh out of me, just to kind of see what it would come up with there. So, all right. In other news, do we have any other news here? No, not really. We're waiting to see. There is other news coming, right? We're waiting to see, first off, Federation headquarters. They have been open, but the official grand opening, that is still upcoming, and we will definitely be there, and we'll definitely be talking about that. But there's also hopefully some news coming out of the latest appearance by the USS Uhura, which is our branch of the Federation, basically. The crew, I wasn't able to attend, but they were at a local con, Colossal Con, over the weekend, and they were there raising money for the Humane Society. And I did see a few pictures. Hopefully one of these times I'll be able to get out there and participate in that too. It just did look like a lot of fun. And what I would really like to do is to be able to get on here and share not only what they've done and we are able to do, but what other chapters of the Federation are kind of doing, throughout the world as well. We can call it the Federation News Network or something. Anyway, just ideas that I had, just like the Macho Man dropping a wrestling promo as a Klingon, I think would be a pretty funny idea. And, man, I should make my friend dress up and do that. I bet he could do a pretty good job of that. All right, ideas. We're going to talk about these things. I still want to make a little movie. It's all everything is all stewing around up here, bouncing around up there. All right. Anyway, I think we will end it there. Let me see. Hold on. We should really do this right, you know. Let me get the proper translation here. All right. So anyway, how's everyone's week going? You pretty good? Everyone doing good? Okay, here we go. Here we go. Do you know that on your computer you can translate things from English to Klingon? So let's see if we can do that here today. Did I? No, I don't think it did. But anyway, check it out. Learn Klingon yourself. You know, get out there and experience Klingon for the Galactic Traveler. I'm going to enjoy this summer and getting into the Klingon culture. So as always, my friends, thanks for hanging out and listening. Live long and prosper. Kapla! And we'll make sure to see you next time. Have a good one.